What would you say is the worst advice you've ever gotten?
The worst advice I've ever gotten? Go to school.
Hey.
That's probably it, honestly.
Yeah.
I won't forget. Here's a little story. I just moved here from Jamaica. This is when I thought Hyundais were cool. And the bus stop where I go to get on the bus for school, there's a guy who lived directly in front of the bus stop with a Hyundai Genesis, the 2-door one. This guy had a lot of work done to his. Until this day, I want to message him and remind him of what he told me. But he'll see this podcast. I'll send it to him. And I went back to talk to him about his car. He had upgraded turbos. Well done. Like it's better than the average Hyundai. So I give that to him. And I remember him telling me, he's like, yeah, man, if you stay in school, you can own one of these. And now I look at my life and I'm like, imagine owning a Genesis 2.0 coupe. And then telling me, it's not about owning it. It's about the fact that you're telling me I gotta go to school to do this. I'm like, bro, I can walk at Walmart and drive this car.
It's so true.
It's so funny.
But I've been nuts, I getting money, I'm on my thug again. Trying to stack a little dub, trying to catch a win. And next time I drop a coupe, it's gonna be a twin turbo. Always been a G, but I ain't never been a herb though. Way I'm switching lanes.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Millennial Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Agnelli, here with my co-host, Peter Price. And our guest today, Chris Cooke.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Chris, we are excited to have you on. Guys, to you, thank you for watching, listening, viewing, and subscribing. Continue to tell your friends and family about us. It means the world. We're trying to spread our message and grow. So that is our one ask from you. We are back home today. So this is the studio, guys. We are back here, and we are excited to be back here. As you guys know, I've been moving this past few weeks, and it's been a little bit of a clusterfuck. But we are here, and I'll be transporting everything over to my new house this weekend. So from here on out, we'll be back to the normal studio. Sick. Again, shout out to Stanton and Bowery Group in Fort Palm Beach for allowing us to record there the past few weeks. That helped out a lot. And if you're going to go have a drink somewhere, guys, go to either 1, 2, 3, or 4. And they're great. So thank you for that. To you, Chris, I'm excited to hear about your story, and it looks like at a young age of 24, you're really doing some things and making waves. But as I always do with a lot of our guests, I bring it back to kind of the way you were raised and where you were raised and the foundation of that. So bring me back to there.
Born and raised in Jamaica.
Okay.
Montego Bay, specifically, but I was a country kid.
Okay.
Didn't really get to see a lot of the... I mean... I didn't grow up. I'm not rich.
Yeah.
I'm not rich now, and, and I never was rich. But my parents made sure, like, you know, we ate. Like, we didn't struggle per se, but it was a pretty poor life.
Was it not? Yeah. Would you consider yourself like of Jamaica, the middle class there, or was it?
No, far from
it.
Like I just went home 3 months ago, and I posted a snap. I was telling Pete the other day when he did this tattoo for me. And I showed one of my friends here thinks I'm rotten. Like, I'm like, bro, and I posted a video of where I grew up. He's like, damn, bro, I take that back. My bad. I'm sorry.
It's, was it humbling being back?
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Yeah.
Are your folks still over there?
My mom, she's here now. She's in Maryland visiting. I got to pick her up Friday at West Palm Beach, take her home. Okay. But she visits me every year.
Beautiful.
All my family members technically come here besides there's a couple uncles. I don't really give a shit about them. But
At what age did you move from Jamaica?
16 in 2014.
And how'd that end up happening?
My mom just decided that it's a better life to move here. As you know, I mean, America's a dream. Yeah. There's opportunities here that you would never be able to get in Jamaica, most third world countries. Jamaica's on the, it's like 50-50. It's half third world. People, they probably don't want to call it a third world, but I mean, it technically is. Because once you're dependent on other countries to live, then.
Because they're supported by tourism, probably mostly.
Yep.
Now, when you moved over here, what was like the big energy shift, and what was the mentality when you came here? Was it like, I'm going to the U.S., now I really got to put everything in high gear? I mean,
I didn't want to come here.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I miss all my friends, my cousins. Like, for the first week, I was probably depressed.
Really?
And then, like, I cried. I was like, nah, I don't want to move. But
really?
eventually, like once I got into high school, my mom always made sure we talked perfect English. I mean, English is the main language. You just have a broken
accent.
And patois is like broken English. If I'm talking patois to one of my boys, if I'm speaking slow, you'd understand what I'm saying. Yeah.
When you get a little tipsy, does it come out a little bit more? The accent?
I am a bit tipsy right now.
Hell yeah. Fire me up. Now, you came to the U.S. at 16. You finished high school here. What was your next steps after that?
I don't know. I mean, I knew I was going to be the disappointment of the family because I wasn't going to college. One, I didn't have nobody to fund college for me. Yeah. My dad definitely wouldn't do it. My mom probably would help me.
Yeah.
She'd love for me to go to college. I more so care about what my mom thinks.
Yeah.
But I'm sure now she sees the businesses and what I'm doing. She's proud. My dad's proud as well, but he probably wouldn't be. Like, he told me the other day, but we didn't have the best relationship growing up, so it was kind of awkward, like, to hear it come out of his mouth because we don't have that relationship where he can come say, yo, I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I think a lot of young men and women out there have a problem with that, struggling, and that's something I want to instill in my children is, like, listen, I'm going to have a high standard and expectation for you and our family, but also I'm going to reinforce the fact of, like, yo, I'm proud of you. Like, I see the work you're putting in, whether it be in school or in athletics or in whatever it is. You know, when you're a kid, it's a few foundational things, and then when you become an adult, there's a lot of sectors to it, whether it's finances or professionally, whatever it is.
100%.
But it's something I struggle with my dad too a lot. You know, it was always like, what's the next thing? Let's push it, because I'm partners with my dad in business, and sometimes I had to remind him where it was like, Dad, we've gone a year and I haven't heard like one positive remark about this. You know, so I'm all for like pushing the line and pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I need once in a while just throw me a bone and be like, yo, listen, I see what you're doing, and that's what really instilled this work ethic in me. But with that being said, I want to continuously remind my kids of like, yo, listen, I see what you're doing, and just keep doing it, and I'm proud of you. And a lot of times that's so much more fuel to the fire. I literally got it tattooed from Pete on me. You know, my dad wrote me a letter before my wedding in July, and the last part of the letter was, I'm proud of you, son. And I got that tattooed on me. So it was just kind of a reminder of like, you know, that's why I work hard, and this is what I'm doing, and that's one of my whys. So you didn't go to college.
Nope.
You got done with high school. What was your next step?
Right out of high school. So I went to Treasure Coast High School in Port St. Lucie.
Okay.
And across the street from Treasure Coast, there was a gas station. Now, there's also a little mini plaza that had a bunch of restaurants, ice cream shop. And one of my boys who went to high school with me, he had a little phone repair shop in there. Now, I've always been in the tech field since I was 10 years old. My dad bought my first computer. I ripped it apart, put it back together. That kind of got me on the little geeky part. And then from there, I just like, all right, I want to chase this field. Originally, I remember one of my teachers called my mom into school, and she's like, ask your son what he wants to do for a living. And at the time, till this day, I'm still obsessed with cars. So I told my mom right in front of my teacher that I want to be a race car driver. And teacher looks at me, and she goes, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's that's
and it's
low.
Crazy, yeah.
And I'm like, but when you move to America, like a race car driver here is making anywhere from minimum $500,000 a year if you're somewhat big to like millions. Which, I mean, even now, I'm not shitting, but my teacher can't look at me.
No, exactly.
Like,
and you
shout out to that teacher.
And you wonder like why that is. Like, what's the root of it? Is it because they're upset?
I don't know. Maybe it's tough love. Maybe they want to push you to do better, but at the same time, being in 5th grade and they're telling you that made me cry. Like,
yeah, right. In 5th grade, you're supposed to have dreams like that.
Exactly. And like when you say better too, because I break down that like what is right. Again, this is the problem I have with a lot of people in our society is like, what is better than like that? Like becoming a race car driver and having big dreams. Is it settling? So the way I view it is like the teacher settled with her career that she's not happy with, and what she wants to put on you now is the same type of disappointment and transfer that over. So the fact that she couldn't reach her dreams means that you can't reach your dreams. And if you do reach your dreams, you're either cheating, lying, or stealing. And so I just get so aggravated when I hear that, because one of the biggest components of following your dreams is confidence in yourself. And when you hear a remark like that, it's like, damn, even if I do good, then I'm not going to make it because so-and-so said that.
Exactly.
Now, for me now, I call it the cookie jar. And whenever someone says some shit like that, it just goes right to the cookie jar. So on those bad days, I'm like, am I going to let that person be right? No fucking way.
Nope.
No way. And so I reach in that cookie jar, I take out that comment, and that's my fuel for that day. And so these comments that come at you guys sideways or whatever it is, if friends, family, teachers, you know, whatever it is, professionals, and they aren't jiving or they're putting this negative, pessimistic energy onto you, okay, thank you so much for that. Have a nice day and continue to follow your path. Yeah. All it is their self-limiting beliefs put on you. That's all it is. Yeah. And again, that's my problem with a lot of people when they view, like, I was just talking to Pete about it earlier, like these guys like Jeff Bezos and this and that who created really from the ground up their concept. It's A, the scariest thing in the world, but B, the amount of work you have to put in to really get that ball rolling is insane. Oh, yeah. Yep. So,
but
you know,
I will say it was a little bit easier for them back then.
100%, yeah.
When nobody knew what Alibaba was, AliExpress. Yeah. When Jeff Bezos saw those websites and then took advantage of it.
Yeah.
Like, but fast forward, I don't want to jump into
No. And but even to that, right? When you have a concept like that, where it's like, why is no one doing it yet? Yeah. There's some eeriness behind that too, because am I missing something? Does that mean
maybe there's a reason?
There's a reason why that's happening. Yeah. So, it again, the big winners are the big riskers, but we for some reason forget the risk that's involved in that. I mean, that man has millions and millions of employees. You know the stress that comes along with that, and the decisions and the backlash and this and that, and so and you can never win because people are always going to hate you because you just made money, exactly. You know, and so. So you got into tech or something along those lines. You've always loved cars.
Did you start working at that cell phone store?
Yeah. So right out of high school, not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Backtrack to what we were saying there. Right out of high school, got a job there, fixing phones. Some dude walked in one day. It was like 2 months later, saying he works for a company called Mastech Advanced Technologies. They're subcontractors at AT&T, installing DirecTV. So I'm like, okay, I really don't fix phones here. I fix like 1-2 phones a day, if that. And so I applied for the company. And the reason the dude pushed me into getting into the company because he got a $2,500 referral fee, which, hey, all praise to him. I don't really know where he's at today, but that kind of kicked me off in my whole career. From there, that company, as I said, that company is just a big subcontractor company. If you have a company, you're trying to hire them to do work for you, as long as the money is right, they're signing and putting all those guys right at work for whatever field of work that is. It's not like we're just there to just do DirecTV work. Whatever they sign, they're just going to say, hey, this guy's good, that guy's good. Send them out there on that side of the field. So they ended up signing a contract with Geek Squad, with Best Buy, doing TV mountains, which is more of what I wanted to get into anyways, like home theater stuff, electronics. So eventually that happened. And I started running up customers, clientele, like people started liking me. They'd become my personal clients. Now they're no longer calling the company to have work done. They're like, hey, Chris is my tech guy. That's it. And then the manager at Geek Squad would eventually hear good things about me, even though I'm third party. People would send in reviews saying Chris Cooke is good. And he's like, who the hell is this guy? Look me up, blah, blah, blah. So it's better, of course, to be in-home Geek Squad. Yeah. So within a year doing that, I talked to the manager at Geek Squad. He knew I was coming in. He pushed through the resume for me, everything, hired me. I already knew everything and how to do everything. It's just I had to relearn their way of doing it because they're picky. You go in, you bring in a cloth, blah, blah, blah. Because, their clientele is high-end. Yeah. So, which is good. Teaches me how to be a better person, especially me trying to grow the same business. Yeah. So, it was good while it lasted. They fired me.
Why'd you get fired?
Because you were doing work on the side?
I was well, my company was registered before I started working with Geek Squad.
Okay.
My boss knew that. And I had both my business logos on both my cars. Okay. And when I'd park it in the parking lot, one day somebody brought it to his attention that, hey, your new employee has his tech company on the back of his windshield. So he talked to me. He's like, hey, you either going to leave the company or you're going to remove that from the windshield because you can't be advertising the same business that you do for work, conflict of interest. Yeah. So I removed it, no biggie, because either way I'm going to do the work on the side. And then, so right after about a year and a half in, one of my customers, I don't know who it is. They won't tell me his name. Walked in the store and he's like, "Hey, Chris came out to my house about a year ago. Did great work for me. Do you guys happen to have his number? I lost it."
No shit.
And as he's talking to the employee,
Yeah.
saying that, the GM's right beside him.
Oh.
Not my GM, the store GM, because
Yeah.
my GM doesn't work in the store. They work from home. I never see them. And this specific GM, I'll say her name. I hope she sees this podcast. She works at the store right there in Palm Beach Lake. Emily.
Okay.
She decided to do the most, call HR. It could have been easily avoided.
Yeah.
She could have just said, "Hey, you're not supposed to call this dude," or whatever, or just give the guy my number. It's
Yeah,
work
right.
on the side. It's no big deal. The Geek
At the end of
Squad's
the day, it doesn't affect Emily.
Best Buy's a billion dollar company.
Right.
So, and she was always cool. I never expected it,
Mhm.
but I really can't hate her now, because if she didn't do that, then I wouldn't be solely on my own doing better.
Yeah.
Which I always wanted to do. I was just afraid of the outcome. Would I make it? Would I fail?
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's slow weeks and slow months where I only do 5 jobs, but as long as those 5 jobs pay enough where I can stay home the rest of the month, I'm fine with that.
There's an ebbs and flow to it in business. You know, you'll get like 12 calls in 2 days, and then you'll get 12
Exactly.
calls in 2 months.
2 months.
It's just interesting. One thing I find with a lot of our super successful and semi-successful and people that are on their way is, like, usually the tipping point is something that happened to catapult their career or their actual drive, right? Whether it be getting fired or losing someone or having a big life event. Sometimes it is just them waking up one day and saying, "I'm fed up with this shit and I quit." But sometimes your biggest blessings come in quote unquote failures or whatever. And for 50% of people, or a lot more than that, they're going to take that failure and get depressed and say, "Screw the world, these people are out to get me." Or you put it in the cookie jar and you say, "Listen, Emily, love you, but fuck you, and I'm going to make this shit
Oh,
work."
yeah. All day.
And so it's just about that perspective, guys, whether the world's out to get you or the world's going to show you stuff, and you have to play with those cards. As I always say, we're all given a hand, and you got to play within that. When you decide to now chase your own entity, obviously that's scary, but what were your points of attack? Did you start marketing for it? Did you, what was the process with that?
No, so I just realized that I was getting too much side jobs where I'm like, I should shove this under a business, start building a business, then collecting this money on the side. Where I'm like, I'd be building a legacy for myself. Who knows what it'll turn into down the long road? Maybe I can get to the point where I just have trucks on the road, just like Geek Squad, and I'm just chilling somewhere. Management team is taking care of everything, versus it just made sense. I'm like,
And it's interesting, and I'll say our industry, because construction and IT work go hand in hand a lot with these, new homes, especially with the technology in these new homes that we're doing. I'm so unversed in low voltage work and, IT work and all this stuff, but it's becoming pertinent because if you're spending $4 million on a home and you have bad internet, you're going to be pissed.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to learn it, but it's interesting because a lot of the times people, especially people with a lot of money, they want to talk to the boss themselves. Yep. They don't want to call Geek Squad and talk to a manager. Then they're going to talk to their regional manager, and they're going to talk to whatever. They want to go right to the source and say, "Hey, listen, this is my problem. Or your guys came out and this happened, and let's fix it." Yep. And so that's where, like, in construction, the smaller companies don't really have a disadvantage because you go right to the source with the issue, if there is any. And it's just so interesting to me because more and more, I really think in the next 20 years that high voltage stuff will be kind of obsolete. Oh, yeah. I think that, almost on these new jobs, our low voltage budget and our high voltage budget, meaning when I say high voltage, it's just normal electricity when you plug something into the wall, it's really starting to shift. And because of all this technology stuff. And, you want to be able to plug in your TV and get really good, serve all this shit that I don't even know. Yeah. Now, you got that ball going. You have some other side hustles, or what else do you have really in your Rolodex besides just this? What's the name of your company?
Cook's Tech Services.
Okay.
And then a year and a half ago, about 2 years now, I started a wheel company. Same thing. I tell everybody this: if you have a love for something and you can make money from it, find a way to create a business out of it. Don't just do it for fun. I mean, it's still gonna be fun at the end of the day, but it's like a gamer. You game a lot, you're good at it. You start streaming, you make millions from doing it. You're having fun 24/7 while making hundreds of thousands.
Correct. Yep. And like that's really what we're doing here. Like I just like talking to people, and so I hit up Pete and I said, "Let's start a podcast."
Oh, I've always wanted to do it. I was telling Pete, I'm way too. I'm a jokeful person.
Yeah.
I joke too much for none of my friends to see me on this and just be like, "Yeah, look at Chris."
Yeah.
We're kind of the same way. When you said that, I was like, "Well, you'll probably be perfect for us then, because we're the same shit."
No, we're not. I mean, we have some episodes that go really deep, but we're pretty lighthearted here, and sometimes I have to hold back that jokester part of me because I just. I find that I just have to bite my tongue.
Let it rip. Dude.
No, but like what I mean is I've kind of wanted to be a motivational speaker at some point, but then the other side of me, like my friends know me too much, the people in my city, I just talk way too much shit to be taken serious. And I could give advice. Like I tell people shit all the time that change your life or could if they take the opportunity, but like it's just up to them, and they're gonna see the jokefuls out of me. They're like, bro, we're not listening to Chris.
I wouldn't see that as a down though. I would see that as an up because when you are light and jokeful, it's realness, right?
Yeah, it's more relatable.
It's more relatable. So I wouldn't view that as a downside. I would view that as an asset because. Listen, anyone could go on fucking TikTok and see, Tony Robbins, this or that, this. If they want strictly just motivational shit, but that's not necessarily what people want. They want the relatability of like, I'm 24, I like wheels. What the fuck do I do with that? And you are right. Like I was thinking, I have a friend who's a diehard fan of an NFL team, and to watch him watch football on Sunday is literally comical because he's losing his shit and just going crazy and all this. I said, if that man set up a camera in the corner of this room and streamed that, he would probably be famous in a few months. Yeah. And so, guys, there's two ways to do this. This is not one of the main reasons we started the podcast. It was really to connect and to meet people. But if in today's world with technology the way it is, and you spending 4, 5, 6 hours on your phone every day, find a way to make money on that. Produce some type of content. Put something out into the world. Because people are going to take it in. Obviously we're in the game of long form content, but even if it's a joke or this or that or my girlfriend's crazy or whatever it is, there's either a funny part of it, an entertaining and inspiring edge to it, and put yourself out there. I mean, listen, social media is not going fucking anywhere. So if you could find a way to monetize it or at least grow your personal brand doing that, I would.
Right. I like that you ended it with growing your personal brand, because I think a lot of people confuse monetizing your social media with like, I need to get some company to sponsor me and pay me or something, where you could literally just be putting out content every day. That doesn't have to be, if you don't have a business yet or you don't know what your field's going to be, just putting out the content and growing a following will then translate to when you do have that business or when you do have that thing outside of social media that you can monetize. Now you've got traffic to drive to your business, So just growing the personal brand, if you don't have an actual brand to promote or a company to promote yet, is still worth your time, because when the time comes that you do have a brand to promote that will pay you, the following's already there. I mean, my tattoo game is like the perfect example of that. I spent all those years in the restaurant business, and all those relationships that I made directly translated into my clients when I first started tattooing. And now I literally run my entire business off my Instagram.
Yeah. And the cool thing is too is like when you don't do it for the brand deals and when you don't do it just for the advertising money, like us, we've been doing it for 14 months now with no type of income coming in. That doesn't mean one day we don't want that, but it just shows that we're doing it literally for the viewers. Like there's no one else, and then us, people here recording and those relationships we build. But
it's more authentic then too. When
correct.
It's not...
I'm not doing it for a brand, or I'm not trying to sell anyone anything. I'm just doing it being my authentic self.
And we can kind of say what we want without having to worry about losing any sort of brand deal.
No,
that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
Like I just got offered a sponsorship on. It's some car product to spray on my windshield. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, I've never been offered to be sponsored for anything, but I'm also not stupid.
Yeah.
And then these guys sent me a contract. They're like, hey, you have to make just one video but we can request you delete that video at any point of it being uploaded on TikTok, Facebook, whatever. And I'm like, that's fine. And then on the lower end of the contract, it says we can also request more videos for you. And I'm like, okay, so this is my time.
Yeah.
And you're not going to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be like right after posting your content, my page blows up, and then now you're requesting more off me, and then I cancel the contract. Now you're coming after a lien on my property or some. Yeah. So I'm like, cool to be offered a sponsor, but no, thank you.
And these companies are slick. They know that a lot of people young get excited. Ooh, I got a contract. Where do I sign?
I'm
not going to read
that's what they go after.
And they'll send it to 30 car guys, and 5 will sign it.
And
you're
special.
locked in. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they just see the shiny sparkly shit, and they don't actually understand how things work. Because really, a lot of these brands, they just want control, and minions. And when people sign on, you're basically just their workhorse.
Exactly.
And a lot of young people on social media love the sound of saying they have a sponsorship too. So they've signed that contract without reading.
They love to go on IG and put in their bio sponsors, and then you at whatever page. I'm like,
right under entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur, and all they do is post reels.
Bro. So you're a car guy, yeah?
Very big one.
You know how to drive a stick shift?
Yes, sir.
Steel Toe knows how to drive a stick shift too.
My first car was a stick shift.
I beat Pete in a race in high school with my Hyundai.
No, you didn't.
We raced in Dwyer parking lot. You remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
What was I driving?
I was redlining that fucking Hyundai. You driving your bike?
You did not beat my
I was going 60 miles an hour in first gear in a Hyundai. Now, you do that math. I was burning that bitch out.
Is this a made up
60
story?
miles per hour?
Remember my gold Hyundai? So I had a gold shitty Hyundai. And
Hyundai? Like a Hyundai or a Honda?
Hyundai.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce
I
it.
call it
Elantra?
Hyundai.
Yeah, something.
Hyundai Elantra?
Yeah.
Hyundai, yeah.
And
That's what I call it.
I put 2 12s in the back, and it was such a shitty car. The whole car would rattle when those went off.
Nice.
But I would burn out regularly in it because I figured out how to do that on accident. You know, I didn't put my fucking foot off the clutch, and I skirted out of the thing one day. And I'm like, oh no, what was that, dude? And so, but anywho, you know how to drive a stick shift. What is your dream car?
Phantom.
A Phantom.
Yep.
Who makes that?
Rolls Royce.
You want to be riding in the back or you want to drive it?
I'd be driving it.
Yeah.
I'm not that status. I mean, if 9 out of 10 in the car I have now, if me and my boys are going out, just because the back's nice, I'll bullshit and just be like, yo, drive. And I'll get on Snapchat recording, like, look at this president driving.
Which car is that? The Benz?
That's the Benz, yeah. Yep.
Why the Phantom?
It's just different. It screams class.
Yeah.
It's one of the most expensive Rolls Royces you can buy. I don't know, it's just different from every other.
What's the MSRP?
Rolls-Royce.
Like, what does it go for?
They're average 500 minimum.
Wow.
Are the stars in the roof in that one?
If it doesn't have a sunroof, yes.
You want the stars or you want the sunroof?
I want the stars. I never use my sunroof.
Yeah, no one uses sunroof, dude. Like,
My dog Bruce likes the sunroof.
I like to open the glass and just make like a video showing the sky, but that's because I don't have stars.
Yeah.
Rolls Royces are heavy as fuck, no?
They're very heavy.
Yeah, so they don't go too fast?
I mean, they're V12 motors.
Yeah.
Some of them. Actually, I think all of them, even the Wraith. But the whole car is on the BMW 7 Series chassis. BMW actually has a lot of engineering into that car. So you sit in a Rolls Royce, a modern day Rolls Royce, you feel like you're sitting in a 2015 BMW.
Okay.
The story I've heard is that Rolls Royce they don't want to put too much of the new tech into the cars until it's perfected because they don't want to get lost.
Or recalls and shit like that. Yeah.
So it'll feel old, but at the same time, it's just a flex. Like, a Phantom pull-ups in your driveway, it's like a F-250 pulling up in your driveway. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's true. That is true. Now, what would you say is your favorite, like, I'm not going to say middle upper class car, but like I would say in the price range of like, 100 to 200 in that range. What would be your like go-to car for that?
Sports car?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
class
sports
are we
car.
talking
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I have a GTR at home.
Yeah.
I didn't really want one. I'm not a fan of JDM cars anymore at all.
What's JDM?
JDM is like anything Japanese.
Okay.
Japanese cars like Hondas.
Okay.
Nissans,
Hyundais.
Mitsubishis.
Yeah.
Honda is actually Asian. Well, technically, I guess it is. It's
Tomato,
Asian,
tomato.
but
Yeah, come on.
but I don't know. I'm not a fan of the GTR. A lot of people won't admit it, but I love the attention I get from cars. Some people will tell you they don't like attention, but why do you buy a Ferrari?
Bro, fuck those people.
Why do you buy a
man.
Ferrari?
Like, everyone loves attention, dude.
I'm like, exactly.
What are you gonna be, a stick? Like, like everyone loves attention.
Oh,
If you say
everyone.
you don't, then you're not. Now, some people stretch their arm way too far for attention, and like they only do things for that, outside love. But a lot of it also is too, where it's a consistent reminder of what you're doing, right? So if you step in your Rolls Royce every day, it's like, damn, okay, now I know why I'm stressing. I know why I'm working hard. It's for this. I've always been like a fan of muscle cars. Like I want like an old Challenger or something,
See, the older ones I can respect,
Yeah.
but I had a 2019 Scat Pack. I bought it brand new. I'd never set foot in another American car. I think they're all shit.
Really? So what is you don't like the Asians, you don't like the American ones?
Germans. Anything
Oh.
European German, that's me all day.
Audi,
Yes.
Volkswagen.
Yes.
Um,
Depends.
What else we got?
Like, I think
BMW.
I'm
Okay.
a big BMW guy. I've had 6.
Okay.
This is my first Benz, and I talked a lot of shit about Benz before I switched. So when I
Okay.
switched, a lot of my followers was like,
What
that's
the
strange.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what's
That's
this?
actually when me and Chris first met. I was just telling Nick before you got here. You were parked at that gas station just outside of the Best Buy you were talking about, and you had a fire BMW back then. And I pulled up on my bike. I was driving an R6 then, and I was just like, damn, dude, that's a really nice BMW.
Yeah.
You're like, thanks, man, that's a nice bike. And I just happened to notice, like, your IG handle was on the side, like, window of your
BMW Life Chris.
It was BMW Life Chris.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how we first
Yeah,
connected.
even when I went for my first tattoo from him, I know I followed him on IG,
Yeah.
but I couldn't remember where I met him. I was like, bro, where did I meet you? He's like, yeah, remember I was
The
at the gas
Chevron.
station?
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
shit.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
man.
Now, when you look at these classes of cars, like, okay, so say you have a budget in mind, you want to go get a new car. What are you looking for in these cars? Is it speed, performance,
A little bit
luxury?
of both.
Yeah.
Now I'm at I don't know. I find myself being a little bit strange, is what the millennials would call me. I mean, I'm one of them too, but
Yeah.
I'm not the type where most kids my age, 24, would want a Dodge Challenger or Hellcat or Charger, any one of those, a Corvette Z06. I want more so I can cruise on the road knowing my car still makes 700 horsepower while I'm getting a massage.
They got massages in
Exactly.
there? No way.
Yeah, my Benz outside has massages.
Shut
I'm not
up.
flexing, but
I'm
yeah.
finna go get one after this.
But even then, I see that's your F-150, right?
Yeah.
But my neighbor just bought an F-150, the new one.
Yeah.
But it's still an F-150, and it has everything my car has.
No
Really?
And I'm
shit.
like, I never knew Ford was doing this. It has ventilated seats front and back.
I'm getting that in the next one for sure.
Massage seats, you name it. Panoramic sunroof. The whole roof is glass.
Roadhead things.
Yep.
Yeah. Just an arm comes out and starts sucking off it. Like,
So
dude, I'm not. If they had it, dude, I'm like, how much we talking here? 2 G's, that's going in there. Fuck a backup camera. So, no. Are you a speeder?
Nick's gonna get a new truck ASAP.
Yeah. Because my whole thing is like, I'm a speed limit guy. 45, I'll go maybe 47, 48. But I see a lot of these people get like these really fast cars, but they're driving from here to Publix and back home. And like, my whole thing is what is the point of that? So do you find yourself on 95 going like 90, 100 miles an hour?
Every time I take that car at 95, it's going over 100.
Really? A 120? No way.
Every time.
You got a radar thing, or
Yeah,
you
I
just
do.
risking
in
it?
the GTR, not in the Benz. In the Benz, I just use Waze. If they're
Yeah,
there,
Waze,
Yeah,
Waze.
it's clutch.
If they're there and nobody put them on the map, then at 120, if I'm close to home, come on, we're going home.
Oh my God. Is that your motto? Yeah.
I mean, at 120, the chances are I'm gonna go to jail.
Yeah, right.
So
That's true.
I might as well run.
Yeah.
Come on, we're going home. That's so funny, bro.
Are you going like full Batman style, like turning off all your lights in that case?
I've done that once.
Yeah. That's gotta be a little
they got
scary.
me, though.
Okay.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
They
so
got
this
me.
has happened before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was stupid. I was younger, way younger. I was 18, first car, 2003 Honda Accord, and I realized this cop was following me, on Becker Road, which is in Port St. Lucie. At the time, I lived on Becker Road, or lived off of Becker Road. So I'm like, what is this dude up to? So I get on my street, and he's still behind me. So I shut the lights off, and then I booked it.
No shit.
And then got in my driveway, and where my house was, there was my house, and there was a deep corner right after that. So I turned the car off, dropped the seat, laid back. Dude flew by me. I was still shitting, like, brakes, not wanting to get out of the car. Comes back around the corner after he realizes, he's like, no, if that car went around there, I would 100% see where it went. Start shining the light at my car, at the house. He finally leaves. I get in the house. 5 minutes later, front door's getting knocked. I live with my dad, my stepmom. My dad comes to my room. He's like, hey, the cops are out here for you.
See, I would have changed to my PJs really fast, then right in bed and said, what the fuck? Yeah.
See, the thing is, I'm very honest. I kind of don't know how to lie.
Yeah.
Where if you ask me, I'm just going to tell you, like, it was me.
So what'd you do? Like, you got me?
Pretty much.
So what did he get you for once
he couldn't ticket me or nothing. I'm already in the house. Right. So once you're out of the car, he can't ticket you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't. You
so
can't.
What was the point of knocking on the door?
Time out. If you're going 100 miles an hour and you run, right, and there's like 4 cops behind you, but you get to the gas station.
If he catches your plate, well, that's the gas station. You're not home.
If you're home though and you sprint inside,
that's what I heard. Don't take my word for it, guys.
I'm taking your word. I am very taking your word.
But this cop, once I came out of my room, he's like, "Hey man, I knew it was you. I felt the hood. Your car's steaming hot. Why'd you run?" I'm like, "Well, I saw a car following me, and I knew it was a cop, but I just wanted to fuck around for a bit." So I was just like, I thought somebody was trying to follow me home, kill me or something. He's like, yeah, but you don't go home. You drive around the block. I'm like, what, and get killed back there?
Yeah.
And then he's like, and they were cool. They ended up being cool. But he's like, next time, don't go home. You keep driving, call the cops. I'm like, bro, that's about one of the stupidest shit I've ever heard. Like, I'm 18. And at the time, you could legally own an AR at 18. So I had an AR in my house. I'm like, if somebody's following me home, I'm going to go home as long as I can get in the house before him.
You should have walked out and said, listen, bitch.
We doing this or what?
You play with the dog, you get bit. You know? What would you say would be a good car for someone who's got like a $40,000 to $60,000 price range? What would be your go-to as far as like a car? You know, not a sports car, nothing crazy, but like the good go-to. Reliable, fast, nice.
I mean, you said not a sports car.
I mean,
I don't think not with a sports car.
That would 100% be a sports car
car.
level. 40 to 60 grand, BMW M3, M4.
Okay.
Mercedes E63, older E63, like a 2015, 14, or a C63S. Those are all sports cars that new, they're like 80 grand. But like right now at 20 years old, 18 to 20-year-old, you're looking for a sports car, you want to have fun with your friends, M3, M4 all day.
Yeah.
Do you buy cars new or do you buy them used?
I buy them used. I'll never buy another new car in my life.
Yeah.
I learned that after buying that Scat Pack I had.
And what's the reason behind that?
What?
Why will you
You
never
lose
buy
so much
another?
money. Well, in my defense, I trade my car every year. So it's pointless buying them new, and then you're going to take that big hit on depreciation.
Correct.
When if you buy them used, it's already depreciated. By the time I'm ready to get out of that car, they're pretty much going to offer me what I owe on the car. So it's like I drove a rental for a year and just traded in for something nicer.
That makes sense.
Yep.
It's almost like you're leasing, but you're buying.
Exactly. And the reason why I don't lease is because, 1, I drive too much. 2, I like to modify my car. So I can modify the shit out of them when I finance them. When it's all done, I either trade it in with everything if I have the time, or just take everything off and trade it back in. Yep.
When I think about like my cars, right, one day, because I want my work truck, which I want a nice truck. I like lifted trucks.
I've been growing the love of truck. I was actually going to buy an F-250 last
Trucks
month.
are fucking expensive though, man.
It's
I mean, like a decent truck right now is like 80 to 100 range. But I want a nice car. I also want like a Jeep with no hood in my garage to ride around with. I'm not allowed to get a motorcycle because my wife.
I'm not with motorcycles.
Nah,
as well.
man. Like I think the risk to reward on that's a little too.
He knows. I talked to his fear.
Because here's my thing.
And I agree.
I think that to be a good motorcycle driver, you got to be aggressive, and aggressiveness plus idiots on the road equals problems. So,
I just think motorcycles in general. you're always gonna have that day where you're gonna feel like being stupid.
Yeah.
And by being stupid, it's just like me being stupid doing 120, 160 on 95. But it's a bike. I've seen dudes on 95 go in between me as I'm flying doing 100 in another car, and I'm like, what if at that very moment I was going over
Or you
and
sneeze?
I didn't know?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
You're dead.
toast. Yeah.
100%.
And
I've been struggling, like, wanting to buy a faster bike lately. But I use that same justification that you were just talking about. We're like, I'm only driving around Jupiter. You know, the speed limit's 45 everywhere I go. And like, I'm kind of like you, where I was on probation for 2 years. Like, I drove the speed limit most of the time, and it's like instilled in me. So like, what do I really need a faster bike for? I'm not going to even go faster on it. You know?
Exactly.
So I've been
Just
holding
don't get
back
a bike.
the urge.
Just don't get a bike.
You get road rage?
Oh, bro, don't
Yeah,
even get me started. I don't think you want this on the podcast.
Dude,
That's one of the biggest things
Yeah.
for me. Like, you cut me off, I'll follow you to Orlando
no way.
to make sure I get the last laugh.
Wow.
Like,
Orlando.
And what's your move? Like, then you go in front of them and.
oh, bro, like, I'm a straight dickhead when it comes
Wow.
to road rage. You cut me off or do anything stupid, you better make sure once I get up to you, you're begging sorry.
Wow. Even in today's climate with all these crazy.
Oh, bro, I
weather?
don't care. You gotta think. I think like this. I think that everybody on the road carries a gun.
Yeah.
So if I'm going up there, you cut me off and you want to be a dick, when I be a dick back, get ready.
Oh, okay.
That's how I
follow
see
you
it.
to Orlando.
God.
No.
So
You go in his speed, probably about 45 minutes, you know?
That's so funny.
What's your dream car?
What's my budget?
About 200.
Damn.
Tesla.
No, hey.
So,
no,
I mean,
no,
I was telling Chris
As a-
when I was
as a-
getting tatted, he said the same thing.
He looks like a gasoline guy.
Right
you know?
now, that's kind of where my head is at. Like, I would love to have a nice Tesla.
And I told Pete, I said, they are nice dailies. I would daily a Tesla. As a car guy, though, would I buy a Tesla? One, besides putting wheels on them and lowering them, what can you do to a Tesla?
Right.
You can't
And
make it
see,
faster.
For
Can you
someone
do,
like
the-
me,
Oh, there's no. I was about to say, can you do the exhaust? There is no exhaust.
for someone like me, I don't really care about that. I almost want to buy a car that I have to do nothing to, you know? Like, I'm not necessarily a car guy like that, other than, like, I like technology and, like, the latest shit.
Yeah, but
you
they
know?
don't have shit in them. That's my point. They don't have ambient lightings. They don't have like lights in the doors. Besides the big screen in front of you where you can do Netflix and play video games, the car doesn't have soft closing doors where if you don't shut your door properly, close it in for you. It doesn't have massage sheet. These are not options.
Yeah.
So it's not even like they're options and people don't put them in there. They don't have it at all. The
Interesting.
wood trims are cheap. The wood trims literally fall off. I have a friend that just bought a 22 Tesla. Trash.
Dude,
like-
is there a stupid question? You gotta do like oil changes on Teslas?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Like lithium battery
I know.
changes?
I mean,
Like,
even
what?
if they did, you would probably be in the dealership every week anyway. So they'll just do it because it's a piece of shit.
I heard this about BMWs though. Isn't it a bitch to maintenance? Like the cost for parts and stuff like that. It's hard to find these and stuff.
I never take them back to the dealer.
You got a guy?
I have a BMW tech who
Oh, okay.
was once a master tech, opened his own shop. For little itty bitty shit or performance parts installations, I would take it to him. But the last BMW I had, that one had warranty, so I kind of had no choice but to take it to the dealer. The Benz I take to the dealer because my dad works for the same dealer and I
Okay.
get everything at employee pricing. So
Fire.
it's kind of like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if I didn't get his employee pricing, I wouldn't take it there. It's $250 an hour to do anything on the
Yeah.
car.
Jeez.
Do you have a good like normal car guy around here as far as like oil changes, this, that?
Not around here. Well, in where I live in
Yeah,
Port St.
yeah,
Lucie,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
I gotta find one because I'm like a tire.
My
Kingdom
dad
guy.
has a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. My,
forgot about
my
that.
dad buys
Yeah,
and flips
yeah,
cars.
cars,
So
yeah.
well, I go to Tire Kingdom. One of my guys is at Tire Kingdom, but
Yeah.
I don't go straight through Tire Kingdom. I kind of
Okay.
just met him years ago. Have his number. If I need tires put on, he puts my tires on for $80. Balance them.
At
My-
your house?
No.
Okay,
At
okay,
Tire
yeah,
Kingdom.
yeah, yeah.
So I drive there. It
He's
just
doing
doesn't
the
go on
Chris
book.
Cooke.
Yeah, I was about to say. What was, in your opinion, the reason for this extreme spike in cars besides of inflation?
I
What do you think was the reason behind that? Was it the chips? I heard some chips were backlogged.
I don't know. I just think I personally just think society saw what was going on and just decided, hey, let's create an excuse as to why we should sell these used cars for a shit
Crazy
ton more
amount.
than they're worth.
Even new cars too. If you go to the dealership now, there'll be like the window sticker of what the MSRP is, and then like when you talk to the person, they're like, "Yeah, we're actually selling it for 12 over sticker." Like they'll be selling it for 12,000 over what the sticker even says,
Right,
and they'll just be like, "Yeah, because they're really hard to come by right now. Everyone wants them."
You know what I just thought about in my head? I really want to get like a minivan one day. Don't trick out anything on the inside, but put like a V12.
Do you have kids?
What?
You have kids?
Yeah, but they better find out. And like, wouldn't that be cool?
2 12s in the trunk.
Yeah, no, seriously, like some Pimp My Ride shit. Shout out to Pimp My Ride.
No, but I've seen it being done, and it's done correctly. Like, there's a couple Toyota Siennas. Those are the like the slide-in door minivans, and on Honda Odysseys that have like a full body kit lowered on wheels.
Yeah,
and they look great.
And it's a vibe, and it's comfy. It's safe. Airbags everywhere. So something to think about. But to you now, I want you to start talking about your wheel company and what you did with that.
So I won't get into how or where. Well, I guess I can say. I won't say how exactly I started it, but there's this one company I hit up to put wheels on my BMW, the 7 Series I had before I got the Benz, and the company told me $13,500 for these wheels.
And when you say wheels, is it rims or
rims,
the tires?
but you know, like the real car guys, they like to pick at you when you say rims, and I'm like, so I just say wheels. I just go with whatever their word, but it's rims.
Wheels. Okay.
And when they quoted me $13,500, I'm like, people actually pay that for wheels? I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So I found a company that makes wheels in Taiwan, and whatever design you want, send it to them. So I sent them my wheel design, the same design that company quoted me for $13,500, same logo, everything, which is illegal. But I'm like, fuck it, they'll never know. It was such a big company. I won't call the company's name, but it's such a big company. I actually went to a show with them, and I had their wheels on, and they thought I bought it from them because they get too much orders. They don't know who buys what.
Yeah.
But anyways, right after that, I paid this specific company $4,000 shipped to my house for these 2-piece wheels. And when I say 2-piece, means you can take out the face of the wheel out of the barrel itself. And the sole purpose of that is there's people who use so much different designs every year, or next year they might change the design. They can unbolt the face of the wheel and put in another face on that specific barrel.
Interesting.
Yep.
And so then you realized you had the plug for wheels and just started flipping
once I saw how cheap it was and how much money these wheel companies are actually making, a lot of these wheel companies aren't based out of America. So some of them will say made in America, but they're not. And
that just means one bolt was put on here, and then that's it, yeah.
And even then, 100% of the wheel companies here gets their aluminum blocks, which are the round, pretty much the whole wheel itself without being cut, from China or Taiwan.
Interesting.
Yep. So even some of them that are making their wheels here, they still get the equipment from China.
I wonder if you hit up one of these factories and you're like, hey, I want a white shoe with a check mark on it. Do you think they'd get a little sketched out?
I mean, there's definitely companies making replica shit already.
Yeah,
I mean, there are wheel companies here in America that are making wheels for a company like me. As long as I have the physical money to feed into them, they're like, it's gonna be more pricey than outsourcing to Taiwan, but they're still gonna, as long as you're paying them, they'll make whatever design you want.
Yeah. So the concept of your business was basically almost, as Pete was telling me before, like a drop shipping sense on
pretty
wheels.
Much. Yep. Yeah. But I put more love and dedication into it than saying drop shipping. I care about what car it's going on, what it's gonna look like. Like, you can't hit me up with a Lamborghini SVJ and be like, hey, I want these gold blocks with 3 spokes. It's not happening. I don't care that you have an SVJ. I'm not repping my company like that. It'll be cool to put my wheels on an SVJ, but at the same time, if it's not gonna look right, then no.
Yeah.
You're a car guy at heart, so at the end of the day, you
it has to look good,
right.
and I'm trying to make it a high-end wheel company. I'll put it on trucks, whatever, as long as this person's car or truck isn't a piece of clap shit Honda.
Yeah, we're not gonna put lipstick on it.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I found out? One of my clients owned a Lamborghini one time, and I don't know if this is true or not. Like, there's like a Lamborghini club that you have to get into before you buy a Lamborghini. No,
that's false.
Okay, is that a myth?
I've never heard that, and
Okay.
I can tell you.
This guy was probably big dicking me because I was like, no way.
sure.
There's a Illuminati Lamborghini club. But you can go out and buy any car. You don't have to be a part of any club or anything like that, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, what I will say, Ferrari, when you buy from them new, you can't modify their cars. Once you modify it and they find out, they are legally allowed to take the car back from you.
What?
Wow.
Yep.
Those Italian badasses, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember there was a famous soccer player. I don't remember if it was Ronaldo, but he put his Nike shoes on his Ferrari, and they actually commented on it. They sent him a letter, actually,
shit.
and he posted the letter saying, "Hey, we don't appreciate you putting Nike shoes on our product. Please remove that, or further legal actions will be taken."
That's wild.
And then BMW was petty. BMW commented on the picture saying, "We won't ever tell you to take your shoes off our car."
Oh my God.
I don't remember if it's Ferrari or Lamborghini, but sometimes when they release a new car, there is like allocation sometimes, right? If it's like a really limited release.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the guy who started Fiat Ferrari? His last name?
No.
Agnelli.
Oh, really?
For sure.
What's his name?
My last name, Agnelli.
Huh.
I don't know his first name, but I've always had a thing where I should go back to Italy and make my claim somewhere. You know, like, listen, I'm the long lost stepson. But
You would be in the club if there was a club.
yeah, mange.
That's 2 episodes in a row you dropped
mange. So you don't necessarily have your dream car now. What cars do you see yourself getting on the road to the Rolls Royce? What's the next one?
The next
I don't know. At this point, I think I've owned everything I wanted to. Where it's just like next year when the time comes and it's time to get rid of that, it's just like, then I'll start looking.
Okay.
It's like, I have a friend. This is a great example. His name's Lee. I'll send this to him. He'll drive around Palm Beach and see like a Bugatti, and he's like, yo, that's my dream car. 10 minutes later, he sees a Pagani. He's like, yo, that's my dream car. I'm like, you can physically only have one dream car.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't say there's 10 dream cars of yours.
That's true.
It just doesn't make sense. To me, I can drive down the road and I see an Audi RS6, and I'm like, damn, that's nice. Maybe I should do that next year. And it's just, okay.
Were you a huge fan of like the Fast and Furious movies?
Yes, still
Yeah,
am.
those are dope.
Yeah.
Like 1 and 2 were the best, right?
Yeah.
But I used to watch those and be like, do you think those stunts are real at all? Have you ever tried doing like the Tokyo Drift? Have you ever tried drifting?
I've been on some dumbass shit, but
Yeah.
not dumb enough to where I'm like, if I have like a big open road
Yeah.
where it's impossible to crash, I've done like my little donuts,
Yeah.
burnouts, but nah. And I think I'm a great driver.
Yeah.
Probably the best in Florida, but
Damn.
You use blinkers?
blinkers, it depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a
Depends
blinker
on the
guy?
day.
Yeah, I'm a blinker guy.
No,
Dude,
no.
I drive very law-abiding. From the years of selling drugs and then being on probation, I never wanted to be pulled over, so I just
Nah, but
follow
blinkers
the
is
law.
a normal thing where I won't use blinkers in front of a cop and they won't do anything about it. Like I've done that too many times to count, because it just became, if a cop pulls me over for blinkers,
Yeah, you're fucked regardless.
bottom line, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
he's having a bad day.
Yeah. So personally wise, what are the next steps for you? You know, you got a few businesses. What do you see the next steps being?
I'm always thinking business wise. Like everything I see
As an opportunity?
an opportunity, I just think about how to turn that into a business. Because I've met numerous people that came up with some of the dumbest ideas. If I came to you and told you I'm going to make a star for a Christmas tree, you'd be like, damn, dude, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
But it's also not $1 million idea. One of my friends in Port St. Lucie created the star for Christmas trees, and he made millions from doing that.
Really?
Wait. Like the
fucking
star
way.
on the Christmas tree?
Christmas tree. The
How
star-
old is this guy?
He's old. He's pretty old.
Okay.
He's like up in his 50s.
Okay.
If not early 60s.
Jeez.
He invented the star?
On top of the Christmas tree.
God
No way.
damn.
Get out of here. What's this guy's name?
Or he did somewhat, even if he didn't invent the star,
Yeah.
he probably invented the one that lights up or something of that
Yeah.
sort,
Yeah,
and then
right.
patented it, made millions from it.
It's like his boy one day was like, yeah, I want to put a star in his tree. He's like, no, you dumbass. And then ran and started developing it. I think that a lot of us, you know, with the entrepreneurial spirit have that vision of like when I hear a good idea or when I see something, there always is an opportunity there. Even back to the point where like I have a friend who's a fanatic fan. Like there is ways to monetize in any single way. And even though you might not be making sense at first, just keep doing it and get really efficient at it, become the best at it. And there's the best of anything in the world, and they're making a lot of money doing that. What would you say? I saw some inspirational quotes on your Instagram. What would you say is the worst advice you've ever gotten?
That's a tough one. The worst advice I've ever gotten? Go to school.
Hey.
That's probably it, honestly.
Yeah.
I won't forget. Here's a little story. I just moved here from Jamaica. This is when I thought Hyundais were cool.
Me too.
And the bus stop where I go to get on the bus for school, there's a guy who lived directly in front of the bus stop with a Hyundai Genesis, the 2-door one. This guy had a lot of work done to his. Until this day, I want to message him and remind him of what he told me. But he'll see this podcast. I'll send it to him. And then hopefully I can find what minute this is. So I can,
I'll clip
be
it.
like, yo,
Yeah.
go to this specific minute. And I went back to talk to him about his car. He had upgraded turbos. Well done. Like it's better than the average Hyundai. So I give that to him. And I remember him telling me, he's like, yeah, man, if you stay in school, you can own one of these. And now I look at my life and I'm like, imagine owning a Genesis 2.0 coupe. And then telling me, it's not about owning it. It's about the fact that you're telling me I gotta go to school to do this. I'm like, bro, I can walk at Walmart and drive this car.
It's so true.
It's so funny.
And it's like it's something that's hard to. I love that advice. You
Like
know,
it's great. It's great as a kid to be
Yeah.
told stay in school, and it's a great advice. But then once you're in the real world and you see like this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull out a $50,000 loan to go be a mechanic
Yeah,
just to do what? To work 20 years of my life to pay that loan back?
that's right.
Not saying it takes 20 years, but knowing the loan's sitting there and it's not important, you're gonna pay on
Push
it
it
for
off, yeah.
about 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think people confuse school and educate yourself, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Chris educated himself, right? And so whether that's YouTube or watching people or whatever it is, we, for some reason, think that if you're not in a scholastic, classy, place, then you're not getting educated. Where I think it's really flip-flopped. And the fact that most of the people who are getting the most educated are on the YouTubes, are on the phone calls, all are on figuring it out. Most people in school, where it's a place of education, aren't doing shit but staring at a wall and thinking about all the bullshit they'd rather be doing. So, again, it was something that obviously Generation Z has figured out that it really isn't as pertinent to go to
100%.
school. And that's why we talked on an episode one time, these Gen Z kids, they're all trying to make millions and this and that. They're all flexing their shit. And I really hope that it doesn't become a problem that no one really builds true skills. I think that's going to be a huge problem in the future where, like, in my trades, right, skills are the answer.
but I also think we're in a generation right now where shit's so easy to make millions.
Yeah.
Where these kids will just be millionaires that don't know how to do a fucking thing.
That's my point. You don't have actual
So,
skill,
yeah.
And here's my thing. If you're 19 years old and you've made $1 million, what you've done isn't a true skill, right? It's really copy and paste that someone else done. And that doesn't mean you're not an intelligent person because you jumped on the train and you figured it out. Shit, if you bought AMC in January of last year, you done all right. But what I'm saying is that's okay. Make your buck and then figure out something that's going to be continuously long. There is no robot or IT thing that could ever replace building something as a contractor. There is no technology to do that.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's true. But I still wouldn't even believe that because you fuck with someone's home like that. You know that. You're not going to trust a robot to install your TV that you just paid $2,000 for. But that is my true thing. Like, there's a huge shortage in nursing and medical fields, and people.
Is there a shortage in nursing? I feel like
huge shortage in there. A lot of nurses, but every nurse will tell you that they're working overtime. Their place of work is offering them benefits because they don't have enough. Because all these nurses are OnlyFans girls, or all these guys are drop shipping or doing all this stuff.
And that's the thing. That's what I said. Between crypto, drop shipping, There's this new thing now where I think it's a great business idea, but at the end of the day, it's still like what happens when it's not being taught so much, or that everybody's on the same way.
It's flooded.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like drop shipping. At one point, all you got on Instagram and saw was Shopify. Yeah. How to create your own Shopify store. Yeah. You do this. You tie this product from Alibaba into your Shopify store. They buy it. They get it in 2 weeks. You make a shit ton of money. Yeah. I know guys that got rich as shit. One of them being the Ecom Millionaire on Instagram. Mm-hmm. That's my boy Gabriel. And now you don't see him posting anything about Shopify no more. He's completely on the whole Forex thing. Mm. How long before Forex is saturated with a bunch of kids? It's already getting there where the bigger Forex guy, one of my boys, Q Banks, he sells his courses. And I'm not against people that sell courses, because at a certain point, once you start making enough money, you're like, I'm tired of answering these DMs for free. I got to figure out a way to set up something. Sell this shit to these kids. Since you have all these questions, you either read it or you don't. Mm-hmm. That answers your question. But
go ahead.
What I was getting to is the new platform that I see is renting a property for $1,500, subleasing it for $2,500. You're absolutely doing nothing. Yeah. You make a contract for the person who you're leasing it to after you lease it from the original owner, saying, hey, if this breaks, that breaks, whatever, it's completely on you. You're not losing anything. That's $1,000 a month profit for you. And this came up because one of my friends just rented a studio in New Jersey and then backed out of the deal, but the guy told him he's not getting his security back. And I'm like, well, don't take it back. At $1,000 a month, you rent the shit out for $1,500. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like $500 isn't a lot of money, but you're doing absolutely nothing for it.
Right.
Working smarter, not harder. I think that with this Gen Z and this generation coming up, they have to be creative. And my whole thing was like, you could be a quick, a sharp person and jump from thing to thing to thing every 2-3 years. My whole thing is like, I want to be the absolute most dominant, best in my sector. And
whatever you do.
And I don't want to flip from that, bro. I just want to be a shark in my field. And so I'm just afraid that like the basic foundational needs, obviously in construction, it's a huge issue right now with labor. There's not nearly anyone to do anything of the actual work. The supervisors are there. The guys who went to property management school are there, or the project management school are there. But the guys to actually lay the tile and put the baseboard on and paint the walls, there's a huge shortage of it because no one actually wants to fucking do anything anymore besides sit on their computer and hit buttons and hopefully they get rich. It's so true, and again, it's not their fault because we were all preached growing up, go to school, get a degree so you don't have to work hard like me, and then we figure out, oh shit, you still have to work hard either way, or you're going to be on your ass. And I just hope that they figure it out. And to those people who are doing really well, whether they're selling courses or e-commerce, listen, if you're making a shit ton of money, fuck me, right? And keep doing that. But what's the long-term longevity of it, and is it going to get flooded? And if a 19-year-old kid who's been out of school for 2 months can do it, how hard is it to really master?
And that's what I said. Like, you start doing crypto, right? You make 20 mil minimum, then you're out, you're done. You say you're done with crypto, and at 19-year-old, you made 20 mil. You're out buying all these expensive cars. You buy yourself one regular house. Some of them probably won't. They'll just go live with mommy while driving $10 million worth of cars. And then you're like, okay, you're 25 now. You got 200,000 left. You're like, what do I do with this? Yeah. They don't think about the future, how to grow this. Like,
that's it.
Will I have kids? How do my kids grow up? And I can tell them my story and say, all right. So, like, me personally, I think everybody should struggle first before they start making money, because otherwise they're just rotten.
Because here's my thing too, right? What do these kids do when something tanks? Like there's a huge recession next year or something tanks and no one's buying crypto anymore, or no one is buying a bunch of e-commerce stuff.
Oh, they get on the internet and they make memes. That's what they
do. Seriously. But like, that's my thing is in the past 5 years, and things are steadying out and slowing down now, but the past 5 years, it's been a big consumer boom. Everyone's buying shit. Everyone's buying cars and this and that. But what happens when things slow down and things aren't moving as much, Then what do you do? And so, and also, like you said, you had the struggle. You know what it was like on the other side. But these kids who had a middle-class, normal life and then doing this stuff, and they've never dealt with a failure, never dealt with a huge setback, what do they do, And so... I hope they get through the fire, and I hope they figure it out. And listen, time will tell.
And to play devil's advocate a little bit and just take the other side of the argument, not that I disagree with you at all, I do think that all these like internet opportunities that are out there right now has bred like a lot of young people in their 18, 19, 20-year-old range who are very like business mindseted, you know, even though they may not be like working on a trade or a skill or doing like the kind of jobs that people were doing 15 years ago. I do think there's a lot of kids with like that money mentality, even if they're not necessarily thinking for the long term, they're thinking about how am I going to get rich and make money, you know? And I do think that's like one positive side of all, you know, this crypto thing, this, you know, stock market thing, Forex now. Where, I mean, when we were 18 and 19 years old, you know, I was working at Champs and selling weed, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about how am I going to make $1 million this year. I was like thinking...
But what happened when you went to Champs and so you got put on your ass? And
Sure, that
was
was
a
my
huge lesson.
struggle.
That's what I'm saying.
But it, you know, and now fast forward, I'm 28 years old and I have a completely different mentality. But imagine if I had the mentality I have now when I was 18 years old, you know, maybe I would be in a much further ahead. Who knows? Just because it's not the same route you took and it's not a route that you necessarily like you care about doesn't mean that, you know, it's not valuable to
and I
extent.
agree with that. And listen, I have my opinion, but that doesn't mean I'm right or doesn't mean they're wrong or doesn't, you know, anything. I want everyone to succeed. So if you're fucking making millions, keep doing what you're doing. Sure. It's just to me there's two categories, right? There's being rich and having wealth. And money in fast, I mean money's out fast, and then wealth is long-term longevity and stuff coming in, like you said, setting up a legacy.
But I also call wealth as, I mean, a man could maintain 500 to 800,000 a year and still be wealthy, versus a man having 500 billion but being miserable every day of his life.
Yeah, sure.
Like wealth comes with being healthy as well, making sure you're always happy, your family's straight. Versus rich, you just get up any day of the week, go buy what you want.
Correct.
And then,
no, I 100% agree.
There's
with
a
you.
balance.
It's a full circle thing, yeah.
And I also think there was a lot of kids who, I mean, there's probably more examples of kids who made a bunch of money on AMC and crypto and shit like that and blew it and now have nothing to show for it. Yep. But I was just watching like some shit on YouTube. It was like Vice or one of those channels like that of this kid who made a shitload of money on like AMC in that like time period, and the night of his high school prom went and signed the paperwork for a property that he bought with that money, with the intention of then like leasing that house out, you know. And now that, you know, that's someone who
has business sense,
right, took that money and then did like the exact right things with it. He also like has a warehouse which is like part crypto mining farm, which I don't know a ton about that and how useful it is, but he broke down all the numbers.
In this time, it's not really doing well for
sure.
anybody, but
he broke down all the numbers though at the time of the video, and it just, you know, it made sense, you know. And then he had like a whole other space of the warehouse that he could allocate to then leasing that out to other people who want to have their own crypto farm but don't necessarily have the means to like go acquire their own warehouse, you know. So there's plenty of examples of kids who made the money quick and blew it quick. But there's also people out there who have the right mentality and have done the right things with it.
But some of those people take advantage too late, where it's just like I have a few of them on my Instagram. I won't call any names, but they're making a lot of money. They own all these nice cars, and then they just have a regular house. And now you see them. You can tell when money is slowing down for them, and that's when they're trying to get into some businesses where it's like, not saying they will fail, but it's a little bit too late. When you bought them 3 Lambos firsthand, you should have been thinking about the property you're thinking about buying now.
Yeah, right.
And then those properties would have eventually generated the money to go buy you 3 Lambos without worrying.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's kind of where my head's at right now, too, even at 28 years old, you know. I was so close to pulling the trigger on the Tesla, dude. Like, it doesn't make it any easier that you can literally just order it online. I was so close to pulling the trigger. And after talking to a few people, like kind of, you know, Nick and my dad.
Well, don't let me discourage you about Teslas. I think they drive nice. They feel good inside. It's just, I'm stuck in the Germans.
But to your point earlier, too, about, like, never buying a new car.
Oh, yeah.
It was really a thought, too, of, like, is this really what I want to be putting $1,000 a month into right now?
Here's my train of thought. And Millionaire would probably watch this video and disagree with me.
Okay.
I buy shit that I can't afford.
We've had someone else say this before too.
Yep.
Right? And when I buy shit that I can't afford, guess what that does?
Makes you make more money.
I buy it Saturday night. Sunday I'm off. Come Monday morning, I make sure my ass is outside, making sure I figure out how I'm gonna pay for this car.
Right.
And that eventually just makes me make a shit ton more money. That next year I can buy a car double the price of the car I bought last year.
I've always been that way my whole life.
I'll tell you this too. I was that exact same way. Last year, I put $50,000 cash into my boat, and I didn't have $50,000 cash to put in my boat. Last year was really the tipping point for me because my entire life I was like that.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm making X. I'm gonna buy X, and I'll figure it out.
Yep.
I always figure it out. Year over year, the older you get, that residual stress of wears down on you. So now my like fuck you to the world is I have no debt.
Yeah.
I don't owe anyone anything. Fuck the bank. Fuck this. Fuck that. That's my dick on the table.
See-
and that's what I told Pete is and I literally said, dude, I know I sound like a complete ass. I have a big lifted truck, whatever. But when I look at this past year and the money I put in the boat, this and that, I said that could have been rent for an office for a year, right? Yeah. So I said, push off the Tesla for 3, 4, 5 years. Fucking blow the fuck out of Picasso Studios, right? 4 years, you go lay down $60,000 cash on both you and your wife's new Tesla. So you don't owe a fucking dollar to anything. You just bought that with all the residual stuff coming in from the systems you put in place that he's not even showing up and tattooing every single day, but the money he's making from the other tattoo artists is paying for his Teslas. Yeah. So it's just that pushing off that donut in front of you when you're on a diet for that 6-pack in 4 months. You don't see the 6-pack yet. He doesn't see the Teslas yet. But when they come on the back end, it's fucking really hard to pull that 6-pack from you. You got to eat a lot of donuts to pick that up, right?
See, I agree with you, and I also disagree.
And again, I agree and disagree in my own mind, right? Like, I need a hare to chase as a dog. I need something in front of me to run after.
Yeah.
And to that point, too, like, after we had that phone call, I do get your point, and I like the idea of, fuck the bank, I have no debt. But I also think it's smart to like leverage debt, you know. And if I have $60,000 cash, I'm not going in the dealership and giving them $60,000 cash.
And that's exactly where I would stand when I say I disagree with you. If I have $60,000 and the car I'm buying is $60,000, I'm not putting $100 down on that car.
Right.
Well, with my opinion being that I don't keep these cars, so it'd be pointless for me to put something down, knowing I'm gonna get rid of it. One, Pete's looking to buy a new. I'm never buying new.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer in always using the bank's money and saving my own. I'd rather have $200,000 in the bank and owe $200,000 on my house, knowing that market goes up. I sell the house. I pull $380 out of it. $380 total. Pay off my $200,000. I profit $180,000. Boom, that goes in my pocket.
See, that's an appreciating asset, though, that you're leveraging debt for.
True.
A car typically is a depreciating asset you're leveraging debt for.
But that's why I said I don't. Yeah. Besides me putting on my wheels and investing my little dumb money, that's my pride and joy.
Money,
that's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Everybody spends your money on different things. So.
And to that same point, though, like if I had the $60,000 cash, I think there's something I could do with that $60,000 to
create 120.
Yeah, make money with that $60,000. To then find a way to justify the car payment, and like calculate how, like, okay, so for example, the loan I took out recently, and your advice was pay that bitch off with a vengeance. And I don't think I'm gonna. I think I've already calculated how much interest I'm paying on that loan, and I'm content with the amount of interest it is for how much money I got. And I would rather have that extra money every month to either stash away for now so that when we open this tattoo shop, I can buy all the equipment I need, whatever, and not have to take out a loan for that, versus dumping $2,000 a month into paying this loan back and be, cutting it close every month and, I don't know, just be tighter on cash. I'd rather have a surplus of money available to me than be able to say, well, fuck the bank, I don't owe anyone anything. I don't give a fuck if I owe the bank money. I don't know them, I don't really care.
And the other point in that is, you don't have kids, right, Pete?
No.
Okay, so you die tomorrow, your debt gets wiped. It doesn't get moved to a kid. For me, it's not the same. I have a almost 2-year-old daughter, so it'd get moved to her. But with my businesses, I don't have the option to keep debt because all I use for business cards are Amex. So I love when a client calls me and be like, yo, Chris, I need 3 TVs, the best TVs, the biggest size. And I'm like, okay, great. I get to spend $30,000 on OLEDs where I'm making a shit ton of points on that, knowing that as soon as I'm finished with this job, they pay me. The car gets paid off right away, and I don't own nothing. Yeah. But besides that, when I bought the GTR, a lot of people don't know this on IG, but they'll find out. I don't care to hide it either. As I say, I'm honest. I bought the GTR totaled, crashed. Okay. It was folded. It didn't look folded on the pictures, but once I got the car, pretty much what happened was somebody bought it in a prior auction, pretty bad, and they threw everything back together to make it look better. Then sold it to my dumbass, I'm the first time buying from an auction. I don't know what to look for to see how bad the car was or if it was in a prior auction. So I get it, start pulling off the bumpers, blah, blah, blah. Car's completely, the frame's bent in the front, frame's bent in the back. I'm like, okay. So paid $35,000 for the car out the door, and then feeding $85,000 back into it, cash, to get it where it's at. Pretty much new. I had to cut off the whole bent frame rail, weld the whole new one on there, and that was a pretty stupid thing. So that at the time I couldn't afford it, but somewhere or the other it got done. I think it's better now though. Some people will be like, oh, I'll never own a rebuild title, but at the end of the day, I don't have a payment on that car. If there's anything I'll keep, it's that car, because I have too much invested where I'd never make it back.
Sweat equity. Yeah.
And the good thing about it is I get to enjoy it. I get to enjoy it. I'll never make the money back. So I won't have an urge to sell it because I know I can't get it back.
And it's not costing you anything.
Correct.
Exactly. And I think it's better because over the period, I fixed it over the period of a year, where it's just like, even the times when I didn't have money to do it, I'd be able to save up for 2 months and then know that, all right, after these 2 months, this goes to the car. I can finish it.
And so you guys know out there too, listen, and Pete knows this firsthand, I really play devil's avocados with myself, because I do agree that you do need to wake up every day and be happy with what you are and be reminded of what you're working for and be... Right, so if you want to be the boss and you want to feel that ambiance, showing up in the nice car is nice. You do dress nice, you do feel better, right? So you do wear that. You buy the nice watch, so you feel that. There is a lot of elements that showing up aesthetically nice and having those toys and having those benefits, it does raise your self-confidence. It does raise your self-ambiance. So with that being said, though, I bought a shit ton of toys in the past 4 years, okay? So this is just me getting old and saying I just want to pay all that fucking shit off and then start basically from zero and work up. And that's my kind of theory on debt as of late. Now, do what you want to do, guys. My last token on it is things have been very good on the market as of late, and we've been able to buy things out of our range but make the money to make it up. I just don't want to see people in over their ass with $200,000 in debt and the market crashes or something happens and they can't pay off anything and they can't make the money for it. And I would hate to see you with a $60,000 Tesla and the market crashes. No one's paying for tattoos anymore because they have to buy groceries. And Pete's like, how the fuck am I paying for my Tesla? So, and my dad has this mindset that he's really installed in with me over the years. So I get pulled in different directions. With that being said, shit, I want a Tesla too. So fuck, how can I tell him not to get one? Just think about it for a minute and really just go with what your gut says. But read about it, talk about it, and seek wisdom from people who might have done it before.
It's almost the same point that you made, I think, last episode when we were with Bradley, about people giving you the advice of, why are you going to get an office? What if construction isn't good next year? You know, and you're like, well, then I'll fucking figure it out, you know? And that's also why I don't want to, like, dump a bunch of money into paying off my loan. Because I'd rather have $20,000 in my savings account, so if I have a slow month, it doesn't even faze me, you know? Everything's taken care of. And, you know, that little bit of interest that I'm paying on that loan, I've already figured in my head that I don't really mind paying that, you know? It doesn't matter to me.
And I know I contradict myself. And guys, it's what the battle. There's a battle going on in my head because it's tough. Real quick, I want to touch on kind of the last thing. So you have a daughter.
Yep.
She's 3 years old.
Almost 3, December.
Okay. Are you with a baby mother?
Yep.
Okay. And what has that experience like of being a father done to you?
It changed. It changes you. You have kids or no?
No,
okay.
Not yet.
Definitely big change. Now you have something to work for. I mean, I like the fact that I can still enjoy what I like, which are cars, technology, because it hasn't got pricey yet. People think babies are expensive. They get expensive the older they get. People think when they're younger. No, it's not, because guess what? You're going to do a baby shower. People are going to bring a shit ton of diapers, wipes, whatever. The first year, I'd say, easy. When the baby mama starts asking you, hey, Pete, can I have $300 Tuesday? And then come Saturday again, hey, Pete, can I have another $300 to go buy groceries? Then it starts becoming frustrating. But, I mean, I wasn't ready to have kids. Pull out games a week.
When she asked, have you came yet? And you're like, 5 minutes ago, actually.
But I would say it's definitely a different thing. You start thinking futuristic.
Yeah.
It helps you
Big picture.
on the bigger picture. I'm like, all right, like I know I want to be successful, but now you know you have a person to make sure if something happens to you, you can't fail. Right? They don't fail, I mean.
Correct. And I think it's that animal instinct that's in us divinely, meaning like, you know, you have a kid to provide for now, and that those emotions come with that of protecting and providing and giving to and having a better life than I had, and, and all those things that make you grow up very fast. And it puts things in perspective of the small little bullshit things that you deal with throughout the day, where it's like, listen, all I really care about is my family, my daughter, you know, and myself, and then everything else besides that is second. That's awesome, man. Go ahead.
It's something that we were talking about in the beginning of the episode, I think, with you saying like how you want to instill certain values in your kids when the time does come. And actually, I was getting my haircut today at the barber shop, and the guy in the chair next to me was talking to his barber about how every year he has this deal with his kids, and if they have A's and B's in school and perfect conduct, meaning like they didn't get a detention or suspended or anything like that or in any trouble, they get to pick a trip that they want to take, and he takes them on this trip once a year, like the following year after they did well. And then the barber was saying, oh, yeah, that's cool. Like, I give my kids money. If they get A's and B's, they get paid a certain amount for that. If they get C's, they get nothing. If they get D's and F's, they owe me money. And I guess I'm kind of curious, you being someone who has almost a 3-year-old, when the time comes, what do you think about a deal like that? Clearly the guy in the chair who was taking his kids on trips every year was like pretty well off. But I also feel like I don't know, I'm sort of hoping that I'm going to be able to convey that to my kids without having to bribe them. Like, I believe in incentives, but like that's almost like you should be behaving that's well, like, because you should be a good person.
Because you're a good person, not because you're doing well. I grew up with tough love, so I'm feeding that into my kid. Her mom, on the other hand, is one who's tend to spoiling my daughter. Like if she starts crying, she comes running, picking her up at 3 years old. I'm like, she's 3, leave her alone. She'll cry it out. I've met customers that their babies are 6 months old, and they leave them in the crib crying until they go to bed. My daughter, when she was young, if she's crying, her mom's not sleeping. I'm like, you know when a baby's dying. She's not dying. Leave her alone. So me, I'm going to be the tough dad. Like, you're going to get whatever you want not based on your behavior or how well you're doing in school, but because I want to be a good parent. But not also spoiling you to the point where you're going to go to school and show off all the shit so you can make other kids feel bad. Because, I never had that.
Yeah.
I want to instill in my kids kind of a combination of the both, where it's like, listen, we're going to work really hard, and then spontaneously you're going to see things come, right? Yep. So get good grades for a few years, because I tell you to get good grades for a few years. After a few years of good grades, boom, randomly one day I say, hey, I planned a trip for us. We're going to go. Because in life, the parallel to that is, right, you could work really hard at something, and your boss could tell you, hey, the promotion's coming, and they're dangling the promotion in front of you, right? And then you work really hard, and then you get the promotion, you're like, damn, that was not worth it.
Nope.
Work really hard regardless of the destination or what you have in your mind as the prize. Fall in love with the process of getting A's and B's, of working hard, of studying. And then the byproduct of that's going to be success. But if you're always just chasing the bag or just chasing the prize, then your priorities are going to be wrong from a foundational point when you get to an adult, because it's just going to be like, you know, what's in it for me? I'm going to get A's and B's in college, so my dad pays for my frat, or I'm going to be this or that. And it's always like, I'm only doing this because of this.
And then once you're out of school, and you're like in the real world and you have a job, it's not going to necessarily work that way. You're expected to work really hard at your job and do a good job, and you may not get a promotion, you know?
Something called entitlement, and that's a huge
Right.
problem with the younger generation is they feel entitled to, I want my boss's job next year. How much experience do you have? 2 weeks. You know, let me know. Where it's like,
Let me know.
yeah, you know, oh, and I quit. And so, you know, it's just working really hard, not knowing what the outcome's gonna be.
Yeah.
And then
But because it's the right thing to do.
and then you open up your eyes sometimes, you're like, damn, I told Pete this, you know, the other day I'm stressing about this or that and building what I'm trying to build and doing what I'm doing. And I looked at it and I'm like, damn, I have my dream truck. I have my dream boat. I have my dream wife. I have a house. I have these things. It's
Now,
like,
see, some people think a dream item has to be the most expensive.
no.
Like, and that's what people don't understand. Like, to me telling a billionaire that my dream car is a Phantom, he's like, poor.
Yeah.
But
No, seriously.
but that's your dream. Like,
Yeah.
your boat may be $60,000, but to the guy who has a $4 million boat, he's like,
Correct,
yeah, look
it's
at
the
that
tender,
guy down
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying is I think these people who are typically unhappy, it's because they only focus on one sector, right? So I'm only going to focus on my lifestyle and the entertainment. I'm only going to go out. I'm only going to have fun there. Monday through Friday, I'm going to be miserable. But Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to live for the weekends, right? Or you have the guy who's just focused on money, right? And he just focuses on money, doesn't focus on his family, doesn't focus on social life or having fun. Try to have this thing we talk about balance, and it's really hard, but try to push out the energy into your life so you have some type of teeter-totter to the balance of the happiness and the work. So you don't become a billionaire laughing at the guy who's happier as fuck than you with the $60,000 boat, you know? Don't measure success just monetarily. Measure success and happiness. Because when you die, there's never a U-Haul behind a hearse.
Yep.
You can't bring it with you, bro. Right? So, you know, it's a
maybe falls.
What? Yeah.
Maybe falls. Pull that GTR behind me. Bury that shit.
Talking about that debt. Any last things to the people watching out there, Chris?
Yes. I get a lot of people messaging me saying, yo, Chris, how do you do this? How did you make it? And I don't think they understand. I mean, you guys are pretty successful in what you're doing. And I don't know if you get the same messages, but being that some of these people saw where I came from, I don't think I'm anywhere.
Exactly.
I don't think I'm anywhere far at all.
That's why
and
you're
they'll
successful.
message me and then be like, yo, how do I get here? And I'm like, bro, I can't give you an answer. You just got to get up off your ass and go to work, whether it's starting a business. I tell them the same thing. I'm like, find something you love, start a business out of it. If you can't do that, find a job that's pretty moderate and easy, and then find a way to start a business from learning what you learned at that job. Like, people on Instagram, because you post high-end shit, they think, oh, yo, Chris is rich. This person is rich. There's people out there with Lambos that don't have $1 million in their bank. But they can maintain owning a Lambo. They make a couple $100,000 a year. They're happy. I don't see the problem. Like I said, I buy shit I can't afford and then figure it out.
Yeah.
Not saying that everybody's going to do that. Some people are going to try. I'll tell people that, and then maybe they'll say, oh, shit, if Chris did it, then I can. Let me go try it. And then you go buy a BMW M3 at $60,000, but you're only making $16 an hour.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Oh, no.
you're not open to starting something on the side. Not saying you can't be working $16 an hour,
you better
but
be
still
working on
have something else on the side going on where you can support paying that car payment. Like, no, you don't just go, like, I do it because I know I have the push to go make money. It's just about the lazier side of me. It's like, if my car payment's only $800, then I'm going to
Just cover the bare minimum.
yeah.
No, I totally hear you, man. And I think a huge problem that a lot of us kids has, and has a lot to do with our education system, is everyone wants to be told what to do. Listen, boss, I showed up. What do I want to do? I don't know. You see me doing it. Figure it the fuck out, you know? And to a certain extent, yes, you have to educate the people around you and show them. But this gene of figuring it out is so foreign to so many people, you know? How did you do it? I don't know. I figured it the fuck out. Yep. How, I could teach it to you, but A, you're not going to respect it as much as figuring it out. And B, you're not going to have nearly the amount of wisdom because I had to fucking fail 1,000 times to figure out this one little solution. So There is no easy way to figuring it out. There is no easy way to getting rich or successful or wealthy or having continuous business.
If it's easy, it ain't right.
If it's easy, it's finite.
Yep.
Because it will go just as fast as it comes
just
in.
Like them crypto millionaires.
That's
it comes
man.
fast. If they're dumb, gonna lose it fast.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
And that's it's gambling. But like, that's my thing. You know, it's just figuring it out and having the grit to do that. Because a lot of the time you're so clueless and you're faking it till you're making it, and you're hoping that people believe you because you really don't know what the fuck you're doing. Yep. And it's figuring it out, and that's the respect you have for yourself. Because I look back at what I've built and I'm like, I built that shit. You know, have I ever had an office before? No. Do I know anything about offices? No. But I'm gonna figure it out.
Now let me ask you a question as a GC.
Mm-hmm.
If a newer GC comes in the business and comes to you for some questions that you definitely know, would you help him, or would you not point him in the path of success?
Yeah, that's a good question. First thing, my first thing is Google it. My second thing is...
Well, yeah.
If it's a thing about a path, right? So, Nick, you're 35, I'm 25, and I see a kid where, like, 10 years ago, I see a lot of myself in him, right? And he's asking me a question about a path. I would ask, right, and this literally just happened to me. I've been looking to get an office for several months. I called 4 past clients who are super successful in their field. 2 of them said to get the office, and 2 of them said not to get the office, but I still asked the question. The one in the middle had the best point. He said, what are your reasons for it? And all I did was talk out. And by the time I got done finishing explaining it, I had said basically I want to get the office. And he goes, well, why the fuck are you asking me whether to get the office or not? Right? So a lot of the times the answers are right in front of you. You just have to speak through them. So if it was a question about wisdom or something that, you know, I learned 1,000 hard ways, I would ask them first, try to figure it out for a few days, right? If you get nowhere.
Yeah, but what if you can Google this specific thing, but it's going to need a bunch of research versus somebody that does it. Let's say you need help from a bigger GC. Yeah. You know he has an answer right there.
I don't
rather
want it.
than go sit on the internet and research
I don't want it. I really, and I'm not just saying that. Call me insane. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to ask it. And there's 2 sides to me. Yes.
Well, you just say you don't want it, but you're still going to ask the question. You wouldn't ask the question if you didn't want the answer.
Here's where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I follow this guy. I've never met him. Well, I've seen him in person, but we never physically shake hands, introduce each other's, and he makes wheels as well. Jamaican as well, just like me. He's a little bit more successful. He's probably thinking that I got the interpretation of creating a wheel business because he did. Because right when I followed him was right around the time when I started it, and I didn't start because of him. I didn't even know he was the brains of the company. I thought he worked for them, which we had conversations about in the DMs. But I started solely because of the fact that I saw how much money, and I'm like, I have a love for this thing, and if I have a love for it, I can create good designs. I do all my own drawings, just send it to a CAD drawer that can 3D design it. But I'll find myself asking him certain things, and he'll get strange where I know he's active on Instagram because I see his shit liking posts. But I'm like, I asked you a question, and yet here I am undelivered for 3 days. But like, here's what. I just got an order for a Porsche to make wheels for a Porsche for $8,000, right? And he has this same exact Porsche 992 Turbo S 2022. His may be a 2021. The dude with the wheel business. The way he made his wheels, perfect. The setup, the offset, everything. Now I don't need his designs. I just need the offset to make sure that the wheel lines up with the fender, not sticking out too far or sticking too much in. Last thing he said to me was, "Be right back." That was 3 weeks ago. I didn't ask him the physical offset because I didn't want him to think, hey, he's going to automatically think, hey, you're in the same business as me. You should know. The difference is I'm new to the business. So I'm still learning. All my design, there's certain cars where I can get it perfect, but he's solely in the high-end side. Porsches, Lamborghinis, Ferraris. He does this every day. So he has an answer like that, knowing what offset will get me to achieve a fender to lip setup. And I didn't ask him. I still never asked him what offset he had on this car. I was probably better off doing that than trying to beat around the bush and being like, hey, how long you been doing this, blah, blah, blah. Because he probably would have just answered me right away than trying to have a conversation with me, thinking I'm trying to find out how he started. But there's, I don't know, maybe because every time like you could be telling me tomorrow, like, yo, Chris, I'm going to go put up TVs and soundbars tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I'll teach you how to do it free of cost. I'll tell you right over the phone. As long as you don't ask me to come out there and do it for you for free, I'll tell you everything you need over the phone. Mm-hmm. I believe in
going right to the source. See, I'm torn too. Pete knows this. If I'm in a supermarket, I don't know where the rice is. I'm not going to figure it out. I'm going to go right to the Publix guy and say, "Hey, where's the rice?" Right. So to answer your question, yeah, I would reach out and I would ask the question. If they give me that type of answer, cookie jar. Listen, I'm going to figure this shit out. And when I blow your business the fuck out of the water and you're asking how the fuck I did it, you could eat my solid cock, right? Because that's what it is to me. So, yes, I do renege on what I said. I do go to the source and I do ask the question. Something like that where
I figured I asked the question wrong.
It's such a black and white question, right? Rather than like an emotional type thing. Yep. And also, imitation is the biggest form of flattery, right? So to this guy, if people are imitating you and trying to do what you're doing, that means they fucking look up to you, right?
We're coming to you for advice.
Correct.
Exactly, and that's what it is. I mean, this specific guy, I've heard he's very humble, and I've seen that myself just based on what he posts and the way he goes about his life, but not everybody's willing. There's some people who are like, oh, this guy's also making will. Fuck him. I'm not going to make him better than me. Yeah. I don't look at life like that.
And I'm a little torn with it too because I'm very competitive in the business nature. Like I do want to absolutely crush my competition out of the water.
My thing is how do I make myself better than every other wheel maker is I come up with an idea that's never been done, will never be done besides me, because when I do it, I'm going to patent the fuck out of it. And if you take it, I'm going to sue the shit out of you. And that's how I see it. So there's a ton of wheel companies out there that we've never heard of that haven't made it. They're probably making money on the low end, but I want to be up there to where I can move all the shit to America and start making wheels right out of Port St. Lucie or move the shit to Miami or a big warehouse, wherever.
That's true.
You're a general contractor. You got to come up with a way where you're like, all right, I'm going to get me an architect to draw up a plan where there's never been a house built like this. And in order to build something like this, you're going to either have to, one, invest big time into the company or buy
the knowledge. Yeah. That's a good point, Chris. And I'm torn with it too, because a part of me would say I would like to be the pioneer and figure it out. And a part of me would say, if I want to learn accounting, I'm not going to spend 4 days reading an accounting book. I'm going to call CPA up and say, hey, give me 4 hours of your time and teach me everything you know. Right? So ultimately, it's about efficiency. But and to that point I was making is I am a competitor in the fact that I want to crush my competition out of the water. But I do understand the network and how it works, and I do want all my competitors to be successful. So, when this guy is getting loaded with too much cars and you do have a good rapport with him, he's sending you work, and vice versa. When you get too busy,
in this business, I think rather than them trying to send you a job, because guess what? That one job he's gonna give me could be a big famous dude, and he doesn't know, and then boom, he just lost 60 more sales from that one job he pushed off to me. I think they'd rather tell that customer like, hey, I can do it, but I'm 10 weeks out on making wheels. You're going to either have to wait the 10 weeks because you love my design so much, or
But that correspondence, we'll go back to him too. So the next time, he knew he gave you a big job with a nice car and someone who was semi-famous and he blew you up. Next time, you're 10 weeks out, but you don't even want to say that. You're going to return the favor. Just like if Pete's too busy and he knows another tattoo artist, he's going to feed him work and it's going to come back around. So it's always about that good juju and that good vibe of, listen, I'm too busy, or that's out of my realm, or that's not my niche. Here's a good guy for you. And guess what? That referral is going to come back, right? Because that's how that full circle works and how it swings.
Back to your original example with this guy, I would just ask him the question directly, short and sweet, because he might give you the answer short and sweet.
Well, he answered fast, but once he saw that I sent him like a 1 minute voice note, and that's when the conversation was like, hold on, be right back.
To be honest, I sort of, maybe he's wicked busy, or like even someone like me, I don't really have a lot of conversations in my DMs. It's like, if you're trying to book a tattoo, I'm on it. And what's your design? Okay, great. Here's my dates and the deposit. Boom, we're good. But if someone's like, hey, so how do you like tattooing? I might not even respond. Because, like, if someone DMs me and just says, hey, I don't respond.
No,
dude.
see, but there comes a time in your life where you're just too busy to deal with shit like that.
Right.
And sometimes it's not even just too busy. It's just you start getting like dumbass people just asking stupid shit. Like, it's just like, bro, this isn't even worth the answer.
Yeah.
I find myself doing that. I'll leave people on red all the time. And whether you want to think I'm cocky or I'm being a dick, fine. That's completely fine. Yeah. But when you're going to message me, and especially like, Nick, you're getting 10 messages a week in your DMs. Yo, Nick, what kind of crown moldings do you use on this room? You're like, eventually by the third one, you're like, you know what? I'm not answering this.
Yeah. Hey, go on Pinterest, bitch. Listen, figure out what formula works for you and plug then play. I
think the best way to go about it too is a combination of both.
That's what I'm getting
Ask your experts, ask people that know what they're doing, and
Do
do a little bit of
research,
research and come up with your own opinion.
So
well, I've done my research on that same
Yeah.
specific wheel. It's just a matter of the stock wheel has a 67 millimeter offset, which is all the fucking way in under the fender. And one of my suppliers are telling me I should put it 35. I'm like, 35 is technically a semi-truck tire. It'll be sitting all the way out here if the stock offset is already 67. So how offset works, the higher the number, the more the wheel sits into the car underneath the fender. The less the number, like a 0 offset would be a wide body car.
Okay.
Because the car has wide fenders where it needs to be all the way out to be sitting at that fender.
Yeah.
Interesting. You know what cars I never understand? Like the little Mexican cars that have like the wheels turned in like this?
Yeah. What do you call that? Slammed or something? Or what is it? You know,
oh, you're talking about camber cars.
Yeah, right.
That's not Mexican.
Can't
that's,
go over. Oh,
that's
I'm
not
sorry.
Mexican. That's borderline retarded.
Steel toe did not say that.
I remember someone talking about that once and saying it's like meant for drifting so that when your car's like sliding this way,
I will say
out.
it does help when you're drifting. I'm not a drifter, so I can't feed you in, but majority of real drifters, you'll see that their cars are cambered, but still not to the point where you're driving on this
it looks
piece
like
of
you
tire.
twisted your ankle.
And wouldn't
Like-
the tires be like burnt through quick as fuck?
It goes so quick, but like I said, it's kids who never got loved when they were smaller. Like,
there's someone that just put $20K into their broken ankle car wheels and it's pissed as fuck right now.
Trust me.
My rule of thumb is you can't go over a speed
I
bump.
went through every phase of car. I went through my Honda days, my clap BMWs, and I just never got the point
the
of
rolled ankle ones.
Yeah. Like every car will get cambered somewhat once you lower it. But this shit just doesn't make sense.
No, that's flawed. Some bunion ass.
No, like I was at Cars and Coffee Sunday and some kid rolled through in an Infiniti, and when I told you like I could stand on his tire, that's how sideways it was.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like,
it's a weird flex, man.
it's not a flex.
Funny, it's so funny.
Guys, thank you for watching. Chris Cooke is an amazing guy. He's got a lot of wisdom for 24 years old. And if you are a car enthusiast or an entrepreneur or someone who just wants to learn something, he might leave you on red.
No. If you guys come to me with good questions, advice, I like touching the relationship status as well.
Hey.
And talking about what a guy should do. Hopefully one day, if you're having another podcast on that topic, please have me. I'm going to piss a lot of guys and females off.
Okay.
Because I just believe traditional things and ways. People think I'm wrong. It's how I was raised. And it's not just how I was raised. I just think it's how it should be done. But yeah, guys, don't feel ashamed to come at my DMs as long as you're not in there like, hey, bro, how did you start? That's what the podcast is there for.
Hey.
Nice. We'll put all your information in the description too, so you can find Chris and his businesses.
Chris, we appreciate you, man, and I wish you nothing but success, and I know you're going to be successful, man, if you're not already. Guys, thank you for watching, listening, viewing, and subscribing. This is the Millennial Mentality. We will see you next time. This is Chris Cooke. Peace.
Peace out, guys.
But I've been outside getting money, I'm on my thug again. Tryna stack a little dub, tryna catch a win. And next time I drop a coupe, it's gonna be a twin turbo. Always been a G when I ain't never been a herb though. Way I'm switching lanes.